Well, hello there, Dodge Ram. I'd like to ram that trunk into my mouth parts. Well, I want to Chevrolet you, your genitals and so forth. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in that trussy. Oh, hey, it's cool. I wanted you to see. That's part of it. Hello, welcome to News Show. I am News Person, and here is some more news from News Person. Trucks. Sexy trucks. Trucks are the working folks' vehicle, used to haul large and bulky items, or for towing, or for transporting people and cargo over rough terrain, or for none of those things.
Gentle accelerator. That's full throttle. Full throttle. The truck is really limiting. Still at full throttle. Still at full throttle. You have 600 horsepower. Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's a Cybertruck episode, and look, I don't want to spend another episode easily dunking on the famed anti-Semite and alleged employee diddler Elon Musk. I mean, I guess I do. He sucks more and more every day. I mean, look at this. You freak, you're a freak. Look at this. You freak. God, pathetic freak. Plus, he makes it impossible to avoid him. You could spend hours trying to clear the road of rakes and banana peels so the man doesn't trip up, and he will invent a banana rake that he slips on while ripping off his balls and flinging them into his own mouth. And he will proudly post that video online while his fans call him the new space messiah. Also, he wouldn't invent it. He'd pay someone else to invent the banana rake and then fire that person and take all the credit. So yeah, it's a Cybertruck episode. Why not? It's election season after all. It's a fun little break. We're having a goof, okay? Let's talk about this intriguing creation. We'll discuss its awkward angles and its poor innards and what it means for society that such a weirdly designed contraption has been brought into existence. And yeah, we'll also be talking about the Cybertruck too. Cyberfucked. Elegant title. Refined. Perfect. Demure, etc. So, the Cybertruck. What's wrong with it? Why is it the way that it is? And what does it mean about Elon Musk's understanding of design? Because while he's been in charge of Tesla for a while, the Cybertruck really seems like the first car Elon himself has had complete control over, which is probably why it sucks. Or, to be effed and B'd, it's getting a lot of headlines and viral videos saying that it sucks. A lot of angry people complaining online that the truck they bought isn't exactly like the truck in these ads. Oh man, it drives on flat stuff and up ramps? No fooling! I mean, to be fair, that Tesla ad also shows it plowing through some rough-ish terrain, fording a very shallow river, and crushing delicate tide pools on the beach, like a magnificent stainless steel, low-polygon stallion. But again, it seems like the Cybertruck has fallen way short of this ad, at least according to human eyes.
The truck works so hard to control the rebound that it just comes across as extremely bouncy. Stiff, not bouncy, the opposite of bouncy. Then every now and then, the one pedal drive seems to give up the ghost and you just go catapulting down the hill. So that is a little unnerving.
That's from a detailed assessment by TFL Off-Road that also compares the Cybertruck to a competing standard truck. And while they do have some nice things to say, I mean, you saw the clip. And now look at how the non-Cybertruck did.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And it's that easy.
Walked right up it.
Hey! That seems like a better truck! Still looks like shit though. As a side note, in this video, they couldn't even fully utilize the Cybertruck's off-roading features they paid for because the promised off-roading software hadn't been released yet. You know how the best rough and tumble trucks need software to handle rocks and stuff? Now, we didn't do our own review because it felt weird to ask people on Patreon for $80,000 to $100,000 for a Cybertruck when we could put that money to much better use in buying pallets of corn cream. Thus, we must rely upon the reviews of people who have actually bought a Cybertruck for, again, like $80,000, either for testing or because they were excited about it. And again, mixed reviews.
I'm trying to open up the trunk. it won't respond.
No, this is a brand new vehicle. Listen to that. The steering is already making horrible noises. And on these Rhode Island bumps, it's not doing too good. You can feel every bump.
While they're not all bad, the truck is, at best, very mid, which is not great for something with a price tag of anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 that was supposed to revolutionize cars as we know them, replacing fossil fuels with memes. So given the many promises from Mr. Cool Future Truck Man, it'd be pretty disappointing to get an expensive electric truck that, say, has trouble with an accelerator that gets stuck and risks sending you zooming to your cool futuristic death.
My Cybertruck is, that pedal looks different, right? Because it's missing this. This wedge itself right there. And as you can see, based on the design of the floorboard, this sliding up, and the way this was still hooked onto the pedal, it held the accelerator down 100%. Full throttle, had a clear mind, didn't panic, and holding the brake down overrides the pedal. So I was able to stop the car, but anytime I lift the brake, it would start accelerating again.
Oof. I'm not a car maker person. What's the word? Car maker person. I'm not a car maker person, but I don't think it's good if your vehicle gets stuck in the zoom and die position. Tesla received this customer complaint on March 31st, which led to the swift and immediate recall 12 whole days later. If you're wondering how Tesla managed to make a car that actively tried to kill their customers, the problem was, apparently, soap. Tesla claims the use of soap on the pedal during production at the Tesla factory weakened the adhesive, causing the plastic part to dislodge during use. This extremely dangerous defect affected every one of the 3,878 Cybertrucks that had been sold at that time. Boy, he has not sold a lot of them, huh? In fairness, thanks to another recall, we know that number went up to almost 12,000 sales. So there you go. That's something. I mean, it's still not as good as other truck sales, probably because the Cybertruck sucks. But hey, you can't expect the car to be resistant to everything, let alone, right, soap. The thing you wash cars with, more on that later, actually. I mean, luckily, the battery range is falling short of estimates, as customers complain that it's got a range of 200 miles as opposed to the 320 miles that Tesla promised. So there's a chance the battery would die before the uncontrolled acceleration sends you slamming into a concrete barrier or bus full of school children or a parade of guide dog puppies in training. They came right at me! You saw? Speaking of crashes, what happens if you are in one while also inside of the Cybertruck? Is a question I'm asking. Weirdly. Seems like I shouldn't have to ask that question. Seems like the kind of question you hope that the people making the car maker people, thought of ahead of time. But it also seems worth asking, considering that this is a vehicle with an accelerator that turned deadly after the introduction of the rare compound soap. Well, we don't know, is the answer. Neither the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration nor the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has crash tested the Tesla Cybertruck. Apparently, not every car has to be tested by an outside agency in the United States, such as cars that are rare or have a limited release. And to be fair, nothing ensures a limited release quite like not testing if the car is safe. And so these safety agencies say they won't test the Cybertruck until there's more uptake. So, sorry Elon, possibly never. There's only been one video of a crash test done by Tesla itself, and keeping in line with Elon's pattern of having really amazing internal metrics that you can't see, no data from the purported test has been released, so it's unknown what kinds of things they measured and what the results were. But we can watch it and guess. Again, just guessing, but does that driver's seat dummy get his neck bent in a sort of final visit to a drunken chiropractor kind of way? I'm not a bones doctor, at least not a licensed one. So I don't know how many degrees the spine can be bent safely. I mean, I keep testing, so I'll get back to you. Warmbo says all degrees, but his evidence is haunting. And the concern that experts often repeat is around the rigidity of the truck and what seems to be the lack of a large crumple zone. Crumple zones are zones that get crumpled in the event of a crash. Makes sense. Carmaker people intentionally designed these areas to absorb the impact so that the initial force of a crash goes into the spots where there are no passengers. The force has to go somewhere, so it should go into the car as opposed to the passenger. It's like how you don't want to make a bike helmet that's indestructible. Helmets break, so your skull doesn't break. This also allows more time for the vehicle to decelerate before the impact hits the cabin containing the fragile, squishy tubes of meat, bone, and juices. Here's a brief instructional video. As you can see, the typical car has crumple zones in the front and back, and a cabin protecting the passengers. While Elon Musk has claimed that the Cybertruck will be much safer per mile than other trucks, both for occupants and pedestrians, he's offered no actual evidence or metrics to back this up. Safety experts who have viewed Tesla's own crash footage have some concerns. The former president of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety told Reuters, quote, "The big problem there is if they really make the skin of the vehicle very stiff by using thick stainless steel, then when people hit their heads on it, it's going to cause more damage to them." Yeah, that checks out. Again, this is why bike helmets are designed to break on impact, and why they're not made of steel. Because then you're just hitting steel. Similarly, we don't make cars out of hard metal unless we are specifically trying to destroy the things it might hit. Like the skull of a pedestrian? And Elon Musk has even bragged on Twitter, now known as Eggs, that the stainless steel on the truck is so tough, it breaks the stamping press. Which sounds cool until you imagine a human body being flung against it. Again, the point of crumple zones is that it increases the space and time between the moment of impact to when the impact forces reach the cabin of the vehicle. So if the steel of the Cybertruck is too unyielding and tough, it would mean there would be little to no deceleration in a crash, and the occupants of the vehicle will go from, say, 60 to 0 in much less time, meaning more force, meaning more bone splintering. It's called vertical integration. Do not try Neuralink. And of course, whatever dangers a rigid Cybertruck may pose to occupants, those risks would be far worse for pedestrians, cyclists, other drivers, or random bystanders. You know, literally everyone else. Musk even bragged about this, saying, "If you have an argument with another car, you will win." So by winning, he means vehicular manslaughter, right? You can't claim it will be safer per mile for pedestrians while also saying it's an unstoppable murder car built for smushing pedestrians. This whole "my car will mercilessly mow down any obstacle" attitude isn't exactly new, but other car maker people at least have the sense not to come out and say, "our car is built so you'll kill other people in crashes." It's a trend in car culture leading us towards a car version of the Hunger Games, or car version of The Purge, or car version of Mad Max, it's just Mad Max. A world where we built cars not with the safety of everyone in mind, but with the desire to create wrecking balls where only the car's own inhabitants stand a chance of survival. To win, apparently, at driving. But maybe we can trust Cybertruck owners to understand the solemn responsibility of owning a high-velocity, ultra-hard steel bludgeon. Or, instead, perhaps they'll turn them into invisible high-velocity, ultra-hard steel bludgeons by polishing the stainless steel exterior until it is essentially a mirror. Neat. More neatness per mile for pedestrians, they say. The cool thing about this is that as a pedestrian, you now need to consider whether the other side of the crosswalk is real, or simply the reflection in a rapidly approaching $150,000 truck with an appetite for human paste. And to make matters more exciting in this Frogger, rated M for mature, situation, the cover of the rear trunk apparently blocks visibility out of the back windshield and rear view mirror.
The Tesla Cybertruck has a rear view mirror, and there's nothing to see behind us. There's nothing to see back there. With this open, you can now see out the back. But it's such a tiny mirror that, like, you still can't really see anything.
God, it's such a good example of Elon's 13-year-old brain wanting to make something look cool like the Matrix while forgetting the basic function. That mirror looks neat in exchange for having absolutely no use as an actual mirror. And sure, while Cybertrucks do have backup cameras, owners have reported glitches with those sensors. So hey kids, when you're standing near driveways, make sure to watch out for those high-performance stainless steel child crunchers that can now be customized with a mirrored stealth mode finish. Elon Musk's patented child grinder. Get it now for the cost of a condo. Also, he named it the Epic Baconizer. So that's how the truck can randomly kill pedestrians without even getting into the self-driving of it all. We should talk about all the ways it can maim and kill its owners too. I mean, more so than having a stuck accelerator. The Cybertruck has found very creative ways to hurt its own customers. But first, unlike the Cybertruck, if it touches soap, let's hit the brakes for ads. And when we return, we will change gears and we'll keep talking about the same thing, but with more severed carrots, because of course we have to talk about the carrots. Be right back.
Hello, my lambs! I don't know if you know this, but I recently moved to the mountains. And like everyone up here, I've spent most of my time trying to find and force Bigfoot to be my best friend. And Simply Safe has helped me try to achieve that goal. Thanks to their camera system, I can sit up all night looking for Sasquatch on my property from the safety of being inside my house. My Sasquatch. My Sasquatch. So we've partnered with Simply Safe to offer an exclusive 50% discount. Just visit simplysafe.com/more news to claim it. Look, we don't all need to vigilantly protect our homes. I'm not paranoid. Except for Bigfoot. I'm paranoid about Bigfoot. But if you have a reason to want a security system, maybe check out Simply Safe. They're not interested in constantly monitoring your neighborhood like some sort of sneaky cryptid. They just want to be there in case there is an emergency. A Bigfoot emergency. There are no contracts, no hidden fees. Their system works right out of the box and in less than an hour. And right now, Simply Safe is offering an exclusive 50% discount on a new system plus a free indoor security camera with Fast Protect monitoring. All you need to do is visit simplysafe.com/more news to claim this discount. But the offer is for a limited time only, so be sure to order today if possible. So again, that's simplysafe.com/more news. There's no safe like Simply Safe, and there's no foot like a Bigfoot.
Hey, we're back. We're just kind of enjoying ourselves while talking about the failure that is the Cybertruck. Before the break, we outlined all the ways it's designed to indiscriminately wipe out West Coast pedestrians like the T-Rex at the end of The Lost World. The stuck accelerator, the fact that drivers are polishing it to look invisible, and the general problems with designing a vehicle out of hard steel as if you are specifically maximizing the damage it causes, including to the people inside the car, of course. But there are other funnier ways the Cybertruck is designed to punish the person who dares to buy it. And obviously, the worst problem by far that Cybertruck owners are suffering from is that it won't play Steam games. And if I can't try to solo the Lamenter in Shadow of the Erdtree while littering the frunk of my Cybertruck with the broken bodies of pedestrians, what is even the point of technology? Frunk. That's the actual name for the, you guessed it, front trunk. It's called a frunk, kids. And while we're frunking out, let's talk about that frunk, which coincidentally is also the sound it makes when it crushes your fingers. Frunk, which it does. You've seen the videos, no need to watch them. So here's an idea. Let's watch them.
The little beep, barely heard it. And there goes your finger. Oh.
Ah, yes, the carrots. We all saw the carrots. So there are some safety issues with that frunk, at least if you're a vegetable. But to prove that the Cybertruck's frunk is actually safe, YouTuber Joe Fay put his fingers where his mouth is. Well, his fingers into the frunk as it was automatically closing. First, smartly, he tests it out on a stick.
This is exactly what I'm going to do with my finger. I'm going to put it right there, and hopefully my finger doesn't break like that.
Man, just don't do it. Don't put your finger in there. But I guess we're either dealing with a finger gore fetishist, a Cybertruck fan with complete faith in the vehicle, or, most likely, a YouTuber so committed to content that he's willing to forfeit his fingers. And so he does. The finger crushing has been blurred for your benefit, so sorry to our beloved fingy sickos watching. We see you, we hear you, but we're still blurring the finger crushing.
And see what happens. Ready? 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 Ow, okay. Oh my God. Ow. Okay, I can't even move my finger right now. I might have actually broken it.
Allegedly, the vegetable slicer feature was nerfed in a later update. But after this update, the same YouTuber decided to stick his finger back in the frunk to see if the update worked. And it did.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, here we go. Here we go. Oh, okay.
Hey! Congratulations on not crushing your finger! I mean, just don't put your finger in there, buy the Cybertruck, but sure! So, it got patched. No one else needs to stick their fingers in their frunks. Ever again.
Everybody's been waiting for this, the finger. Without further ado, I feared for my finger for a second, not gonna lie. That's kind of bad.
Yeah, that's kinda bad. It's kinda bad that someone designed an automatic car door that crushes your finger. And I mean specifically designed. The Cybertruck's lead engineer responded to this guy's video on Eggs, explaining how this is actually the user's error, not the Cybertruck's. For you see, frunk pinch detection is a learning algorithm, which will increase the closing force each time it's cycled back to back without successfully latching. Imagine there is a big bag inside the frunk, it might also trigger the pinch detection. Then you might try closing it again and again, exactly as you are doing in this video. The algorithm assumes that if you are repeatedly trying to close the frunk, it's because you, as the human in loop, know better and believe it should close. My sweet Christ. So the door is designed to close harder and harder if it senses resistance, because it assumes you want to cram something in there like a hostage. And to be clear, even if it wasn't a finger, that's still the worst design choice of a vehicle that someone might use to move groceries or breakable objects. It's literally the opposite of what you want to happen. Designed from some abstract understanding of human behavior. Like they saw a movie where someone crammed something in their trunk and thought, well, wouldn't it be great if the trunk always forced shut, no questions asked? Like if you saw someone pistol whip somebody else and said, well, we should put handles on the barrels of all the guns to make that easier. Just a perfect example of the tech world being run by aliens who don't actually seem to know how regular human beings function, or even how the car industry functions. Another great example of this is the unbreakable armored glass they boasted about when Musk first offered a preview in 2019. You know the one.
Sure? Yeah. Oh my fucking God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Perfect thing to happen. But, there does seem to have been some improvement since that demonstration.
Oh my God.
I wanted to break.
Okay, there you go, Musk. Unbreakable glass. Because you want that, right? You want your car windows to be totally unbreakable. So like, if you crash, maybe because your accelerator gets stuck for some reason, then that way, no one can get to your dying body by breaking through. Nifty. I like my car to be as tomb-like as possible. So the thing is, Tesla isn't the first company to dabble in unbreakable glass. And in fact, there's a growing concern about car companies making their vehicles inescapable in emergency situations.
New research shows many car manufacturers are replacing tempered glass with much stronger laminated side windows.
Right here on the label it says LamaSafe. That means that's laminated glass.
And Daniel Armbruster with AAA Texas says it's nearly unbreakable.
Vehicle escape tools cannot break through these laminated windows.
I'm really having to pound, and boy, I couldn't get out through this window.
But we just wanted to see if it would even work on laminated glass. It just makes a crack. There's no way someone could get out of this window.
Yeah, you fuck that glass up. So you see how that could be an issue if you were, say, drowning in your car like that scene in the game, or drowning in your car like the scenes from the Vampire Diaries, or drowning in your car like what can happen in real life. Laminated glass does have some potential safety benefits, such as preventing ejections during crashes, but it's unclear which type of glass would prevent the most deaths. A truly innovative glass design would allow it to be broken when one needs to escape, but would be strong enough to prevent ejections. But these trade-offs and potentials for actual improvement did not seem to be considered when the Cybertruck was designed to be damage-proof, so it's not clear how safe the truck would be in case of fire or submerging, despite Elon bragging that the car will be amphibious, or whether EMTs will be able to easily access injured drivers if the doors are stuck. This is kind of part of a larger conversation about cars in America, one we did an entire other video about. See, everything I pointed out about the safety concerns of the Cybertruck hurting pedestrians or being designed like a tank can be applied to a lot of modern trucks. I mean, most trucks don't also crush your fingers, but with a Cybertruck, they aren't even pretending to mitigate or hide those issues. Like, there's now a weird trend of people shooting at their Cybertrucks as if that demonstrates some kind of extra value.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. It's so inaccurate. Oh god. Oh my. Oh.
That's Aiden Ross. You know, the guy who quite smartly gave Trump a Cybertruck plastered with a picture depicting the moment after his brains weren't plastered everywhere in front of the entire world. And boy, I don't think that guy ever shot a gun before that clip. This obsession with indestructibility seems to fundamentally misunderstand what a vehicle is for. Like, cool, the truck can withstand small caliber bullets, but can it, like, open? In the case of an accident? Being able to survive a crash seems much more important than a thing that will literally never happen to you. But because there are so few Cybertrucks on the road, there hasn't yet been a crash involving bodies of water or requiring an emergency extraction. So we just don't know if emergency responders would have a harder time prying it open, or if, as promised, the Cybertruck will simply win every crash by obliterating the opposing car into a fine dust of metal, plastic, and human protein. Also, like I said, there are blessedly few Cybertrucks on the road, under 12,000, which has fallen short of even the lowest estimates from last year, possibly due to the steep jump in price, or, you know, people actually seeing videos of it. But hey, if you convince your friends to buy a Cybertruck, you could win a cyber hammer, which maybe you could use to smash your way out of your Cybertruck if it's on fire. Maybe. We don't know. Cyber hammer! Cool! Epic once again, good sire! But you hopefully see how this is all just showy, manly stuff with no substance. Instead of being this cool, hip thing that Elon desperately wanted it to be, the Cybertruck now represents insecure, mostly men, boasting about how bulletproof their new car is, while hand-waving the fact that it, on occasion, might lose control and crash into something that's hopefully not alive. It's a performative purchase for rich people cosplaying as futuristic construction workers. And it's gotten to the point that it's hard to tell which people are doing a parody or who is genuine. Like, look at this egg from an account called Tesla-Conomics. Just call it Teslanomics, God. That egg's, quote, "People laugh at me till they find out what my Cybertruck can really do." And this is the video that they posted with it. That's gotta be a joke, right? Or is the person who egged that just so far removed from the working class or general reality that he genuinely thought that was impressive? I can't tell. And that actually brings up an issue beyond the safety concerns. The Cybertruck isn't a very good truck. For starters, the truck bed is only 4 feet wide, and there's no room for a spare tire unless you're willing to use up roughly half of the trunk's carrying capacity. They claim the bed carries items of up to 6 feet in length, but as even their user manual shows, there's a height limit to that thanks to the necessarily futuristic design. And so if the object is over 30 inches tall, you can only carry 4 feet of it. 4 feet by 4 feet. It's also not very powerful as a truck. So like the first mention Musk made of the truck seems to have been in 2012, when Elon egged, "Would love to make a Tesla Cybertruck with crazy torque, dynamic air suspension, and corners like it's on rails. That'd be sweet." Yeah, I'd love to make piss and shit that I can sell to the bank, but I'm not going to buy a website about it. Look, a lot of great ideas start with, that'd be sweet, but let's break down the full thought here. Crazy torque just means the truck's engine power and towing capability. So he's basically saying, would love to make a really strong truck. Okay, really unique, genius, innovative idea there, but the reality is that the Cybertruck's torque is beaten by a lot of other competing trucks. The Cybertruck having 525 pound-feet, or as I like to call them, torqueys. For comparison, the 2023 Ford F-150 Raptor has 640 torqueys. But if you think it's unfair to compare gas to electric vehicles, the Ford F-150 Lightning has 775 torqueys, and the electric Rivian truck has over 900 torqueys. I'm not saying that the Cybertruck doesn't have sufficient torque. It's got great torqueys, but I think it's probably not the crazy torque in the original one-sentence Cybertruck design concept. His other idea, dynamic air suspension, also known as active air suspension, just means air suspension that can be changed depending on terrain or driving needs. And Elon Musk had the good sense to go back in time to 1983 when it was first invented by Lotus Cars, then to 2004 to observe Toyota's use of a kinetic dynamic suspension system on their SUVs, then back to 2012 to tweet about it. So basically, Elon wanted to revolutionize the truck and ultimately just did things other trucks did, but not as well. And in some cases, he opted to make the truck look cool, or his idea of what looks cool, over the truck having proper function. Probably the best example of this is the stainless steel finish. You can see someone who perhaps doesn't know how to make cars, like not a car maker person, looking at other stainless steel appliances and saying, why don't they make a whole car out of that? And besides all the stuff I already said about how it's bad for pedestrians, well, there's another glaring, smudgy reason this doesn't happen.
This is stainless steel, and we all know what happens to stainless steel. Fingerprints are everywhere, look. Even my knuckles made fingerprints. You're gonna have to be cleaning this thing every 10 seconds, or it's gonna look like a dirty refrigerator.
Side note, I don't know what that specific reviewer is on, but I love it and want more. I love him. He's mine now. You can't have him. So yeah, stainless steel is neat. Just don't touch your truck and you're good. I mean, who needs to go around touching their truck? What are you, some kind of truck pervert? I'll buy you a horse if you want to find out. But yeah, the lack of paint on the Cybertruck is meant to be part of its aesthetic, and is advertised on the Cybertruck website as actually being superior. Quote, no paint, no chips, an ultra-hard stainless steel exoskeleton helps to reduce dents, damage, and long-term corrosion. Repairs are simple and quick. Simple and quick. And to be honest, this sounds compelling. Stainless steel can be a nice look, paint scratches are annoying, less car maintenance sounds nice. Sure, you have to put up with some fingerprints you're constantly wiping down, but then you'll have fingerprint evidence if a truck pervert molests your vehicle. Except, apparently, there's a reason why cars have paint, and more importantly, a clear coat finish, something the Cybertruck lacks. See, a clear coat is a protective layer for things like road salt, UV rays, anything that might get on the car. The Cybertruck has no clear coat. But don't worry, according to Tesla's website, to prevent damage to the exterior, immediately remove corrosive substances such as grease, oil, bird droppings, tree resin, dead insects, tar spots, road salt, industrial fallout, etc. If necessary, use denatured alcohol to remove tar spots and stubborn grease stains. Then immediately wash the area with water and a mild non-detergent soap to remove the alcohol. See? Simple and quick. Just have a chamois denatured alcohol and non-detergent soap in hand every time you see a bird or tree or bugs, or you risk corrosion to your cool steel panels on your truck that you presumably need to drive places that are outside. Also, the official Tesla website warns that without a clear coat, any scratches that appear are in the stainless steel panels themselves. Anyone performing scratch repair should refer to the applicable exterior stainless steel panel refinishing procedure. I looked up the exterior stainless steel panel refinishing procedure, and apparently it requires you to use a random orbital sander to sand not just the area with the scratch, but the entire side of the truck to maintain a consistent appearance. They offer a handy diagram, so if you receive a scratch anywhere on the green area, you have to sand the entire green area and clean it with isopropyl alcohol between each step of sanding with decreasing grit at least 3 times for a light scratch. Simple and quick. You'll buff out tricycle scratches in no time. Also, don't worry, those orange spots you may have noticed appearing on your Cybertruck are not rust, but instead a slightly different chemical reaction due to surface contamination, which can be buffed right out with a microfiber towel and stainless steel cleanser. Just make sure not to buff too hard and scratch the steel, because then you're looking at busting out that old orbital sander again. You could try to take it to a car wash regularly to keep surface contamination down, but make sure to remember to put your Cybertruck in car wash mode or it could be damaged, and the Cybertruck's warranty does not cover damage from car washes.
The Cybertruck does not work anymore. I'm about 2.5 months in and 3,400 miles, and it's not working right now. So what did I do different? Today I went to the beach. I took the dogs. There'll be a video on that when I get to it. And went home, took it through the car wash, make sure all the sand's off, vacuum the inside. But I noticed there was some sand in the truck bed. So I put the tonneau cover up and I just hosed off the sand in there, and there seemed to be little slots. That's the only thing I've done that's different.
Ah, see, there's your problem right there. You took your dogs to the beach in your truck and then tried to wash it off like a maniac? Oh, what, just because you got yourself a truck, you think you can use some water from a hose to rinse it? You think you can just casually roll on through a car wash with no consequences? You see, the Cybertruck is like cyber sex. You can't actually get it wet. To be fair, there are videos where people successfully drive through water in these things, so... But even in those videos, they still apparently run into electrical problems.
One quick thing I wanted to show you guys, it's been a few hours since that water test. When I press these buttons, they don't seem to want to work.
I love a good rugged truck that immediately dies when driven through a puddle. Good God! So in short, the Cybertruck is cool and manly, so long as you're okay with a truck that's unsafe for passengers and pedestrians, and also you can't get it wet or touch it or have birds poop on it, and it can only reliably carry things that are 4 feet by 4 feet. It's a truck in the way a cashmere sweater is a truck. But okay, accepting that it's simply a bad truck, I guess people might just want to buy it for the cool design. Like the hollow luxury item and waste of millions of dollars from consumers and manufacturers that it actually is. Well, let's talk about the design then. After the break, we will talk about the slick and streamlined, futuristic, cool design of the Cybertruck, which I'm sure will make up for all the shortcomings we've listed. Ta! Hey there! Are you naked? Perhaps a bear ate your clothes, or you stripped them off because they were covered in gasoline before accidentally rolling down a hill into the parking lot of a police station. Well, you should check out our merch store at shop.somemorenews.com. That's shop.somemorenews.com. We have clothes there. Or rather, we have shirts there. You can also wear a magnet over your shame parts. There are notebooks and mugs and mouse pads and wowee, here's a Warmbo pillow. Cover your naked body with Warmbo, why don't you? Shop.somemorenews.com. Check out our newest I recently moved to the mountains shirt, or the I agree with you completely water bottle. It also holds urine and milk for all you discerning buyers. Go look and buy and enjoy. Shop.somemorenews.com. One more time. I'll do it. Shop.somemorenews.com. Goodbye.
What do you mean you're pregnant? You said you were on the pill.
But JD Van banned the pill. Oh, hi. We're back. I was just pretending that one of my cars got the other pregnant with car sperm. Anyway, the Cybertruck kinda sucks. Before the break, we talked about how it failed to function as a truck and as a vehicle in general, and how, perhaps, it's more of a luxury and status item than anything else. Also, that's not entirely different than a lot of trucks right now, many of which seem more like station wagons disguised as trucks. Which is fine. It's fine to want something functionally diminished for its aesthetic value or cool design. Just ask anyone with a high-end lightsaber collection. Just ask any me. But while this might be subjective, I would argue that even if you judge the vehicle purely for those reasons, the Cybertruck is still terrible. In fact, some of that is objective. For starters, the production of the Cybertruck was extensively delayed, in part due to supply chain issues, but also due to serious design issues. A report was leaked by a whistleblower detailing the production struggles. To quote an automotive engineer who spoke to Wired about this report, "My first reaction is I am astounded. These are classic mechanical automotive engineering challenges that you have in pretty much any vehicle. I'm blown away that they would be struggling so much with the basics." For example, according to this leak, the alpha version of the truck was still grappling with things like noise levels and suspension and braking, just the baseline car stuff. Possibly one reason for all the struggles with the basics was a compulsive need to redesign things for seemingly no reason, like the turn signal being operated by buttons on the, dramatic sigh, squircle. That is a square circle steering wheel.
Your turn signals are entirely on your steering wheel in the form of push button. You'll push the up arrow to go right and the bottom arrow to go left, just as you would think.
Boy, yeah, I love taking my hand off the squircle to press a non-button every time I want to turn. This replaced the classic lever design turn signals called stalks. And look, buttons are fine. They're like robot nipples. But the benefit of the lever is that there is a tactile difference that doesn't require eyes. You can tell very quickly between left pushing down and right pushing up, which gives you an intuitive sense of which direction you're signaling. You shift the stalk in the direction you're turning the circular wheel. It's built like one motion. It's like that for a reason. It's not a button you press for a reason. And in the Cybertruck's case, those aren't even buttons. They're like little touch pads. I guess there's a little lump you can feel out to tell which one is which, but like, why even redesign it? And if you are going to redesign it, can't you at least do something more intuitive? Put the left button on the left side and the right button on the right side or something. The right button is up and the left button is down. You've improved nothing, solved a problem that didn't exist, and made things more confusing, which at least one Cybertruck driver is struggling with, as caught on video by Montreal Car Spotting. That's not really the driver's fault. It's a bad design. So I guess it is the driver's fault for buying the truck. The Cybertruck has also relocated the gear shift panel to either the touchscreen or to the top of the car where you have another touchscreen panel.
To switch gears, you can do this little swipey number right here, but you can also change it up here, which, as you can kind of see, it's not visible until you touch it.
Holy shit. That is a bad design. Like, terrible. That's so bad. Why? What are you doing? I'm not exactly sure what problem this is solving, but it does create a new problem. It's harder to quickly see which gear you're in and harder to shift gears by feel alone without taking your eyes off the road. You want your hand near where things are happening. Humans don't just like walk around like this. I mean, Elon does for sure, but like you don't want to like reach up and touch the thing and turn. You got to look up and touch up and then select it and then it's on. Like, enough with the goddamn buttons. I don't want to control a car with a bunch of fucking buttons. I'm trying to watch the road, not the buttons. No more buttons, no more touch screens. Just give me some knobs and dials I can touch and use. It just feels like the thought process was, well, let's change these designs because that's what innovators do. And also it will get attention, without actually improving on the old designs or thinking about actual problems with the old designs that could be solved. See, what's happening here is not uncommon for Tesla and some other car companies, but specifically any of Elon's companies. I don't know if there's a name for it yet, so I'm just going to call it futurism over function. Elon Musk wants a world where all cars are self-driving and work via touchscreens, and you can just sit back and relax and work on your just terrible Elden Ring build. But the world isn't like that yet. And instead of making a car built for the world we live in, Tesla is trying to make a car for the world Elon wants it to be. And again, other car companies had this problem as well. For example, you might remember when every car company tried to reinvent the knob and push for touchscreens, and then everyone got mad. Touchscreens are one of those ideas that would totally work if cars were self-driving, but they aren't. We still have to drive our cars, so we shouldn't have a lot of touchscreens to focus on. Similarly, the more cars try to become smart devices, the worse they seem to get. And boy, the Cybertruck is very smart indeed.
Phone key is the primary key you will use to access your Cybertruck. It allows you to use your phone's Bluetooth connectivity and ultra-wideband to automatically unlock your Cybertruck as you press the door release button, power on when you're ready to drive, and lock as you walk away when configured to do so.
When configured to do so? What did that mean? Slow down, you're making me feel like I'm 80. Okay, so you need a phone to unlock the Cybertruck? Are you going to sell me the phone too? Why should I buy a product that requires a second unrelated product to work? What if my phone is dead or broken? Or maybe I just don't want to always be on my phone. You know, like people go camping in trucks. I don't want to be on my phone when I'm camping. Why does everything need a fucking app?
Your Cybertruck comes with 2 key cards that can be used to unlock and lock Cybertruck.
Oh, okay. There's a key card. Sure, I guess I could bury that in my wallet. How does that work?
Place it against the driver's side door pillar, above the button and below the camera.
Below the camera, but above the... Can you just like put a marker there so I don't have to remember? Sorry, go on.
Open the door by pressing this button on the pillar. The door will open, allowing you to grasp it at the top.
Wait! So I have to press a button and then grab the side of the door, the sharp metal door? How is that better than a handle? Just have a handle.
Once inside, power on Cybertruck by pressing the brake pedal. If you wait more than 2 minutes to power on, place the keycard on the wireless phone charger to re-authenticate.
Power on by pressing the brake pedal? Re-authenticate? Hey, I have an idea. Just have a f***ing car key. What was wrong with the car key or a fob or something? Why do I have to completely relearn how to operate a car in order to use your product? It's clear that they thought up these cool futuristic ideas first and then clumsily had to cram them into the design. Like, what if you opened the door with a touchscreen button? Sounds like a cool idea, I guess, until you realize it actually adds a second step to the process. Having a key card as a key is neat, I guess, except you still need your house keys, so it doesn't reduce clutter, it adds it. Not to mention that this all adds just one more dimension of problem solving to your car. See, the beauty of most cars, especially trucks, is that they are machines. Pistons and gears and dinosaur jizz and whatnot. And when you have a problem with a machine, you or someone else can open it up and fix that problem. Some problems can probably be solved with just a few tools. You could, in theory, fix or build a car out in the middle of nowhere. But the more computerized a car gets, the more complicated the problems get. And when you look at the troubleshooting page of Tesla, it's like a fucking novel. The problems people are experiencing sound more like computer software issues than mechanical ones. And we all know how fun it is to deal with computer software issues. There are multiple online forums where people post Cybertruck issues, and just look at the titles of these posts. Passenger vents no longer move up down after 2024.20.7 update. Error code egg_left_VC_A458. Help! Blank front screen after soft reset. Bugs in the latest update. No front camera. Tesla app login from home Wi-Fi. Can't authenticate but has access after. Does anybody really want these to be the problems you have with a truck? A truck you have to do system updates for and regularly troubleshoot without getting air or water on it? This sounds absolutely exhausting. It's like driving a printer instead of a car. And it's probably why we keep hearing these horror stories of Cybertrucks being brought into a service center and left there for for weeks and weeks at a time. None of this would be a problem if we lived in a world where your average mechanic and car hobbyist also knew computer programming, or where all locks were keycard based, or where cars were so autonomous that we didn't have to worry about pressing buttons or looking at screens, or we could charge our phones and have internet access anywhere we go, including the wilderness. But we don't live in that world. The Cybertruck isn't designed for our world. It's designed for a future world that Elon Musk, and Elon Musk alone, has pictured.
I think it's the most unique thing on the road. And finally, the future will look like the future.
Right. So let's finally talk about the look of the Cybertruck. I know this is subjective to a degree, but it kind of speaks to the larger problem. If you recall, Musk's 2012 tweet said that he wanted the truck to corner like it's on rails. You know what corners like it's on rails? Trains. They're on rails. Just make a train, man. But alas, Elon Musk hates trains and public transport and probably people, saying there's like a bunch of random strangers, one of whom might be a serial killer. Great point. Another neat fact about trains is that they are typically designed not just with angles, but curves, and in such a way that is functional, like how the pointy noses of bullet trains were designed to reduce sonic boom when traveling through tunnels. Now, surprisingly, the Cybertruck is actually more aerodynamic than you'd think. Of course, that's not a huge concern since it's supposed to be a truck and not a race car. But I doubt Musk was thinking about function here. Elon Musk's biographer, Walter Isaacson, spoke to Quartz and claims that the Cybertruck's design was inspired by Musk's interest in dystopian science fiction. You know how the thing about dystopian fiction is that we all like it and want to live in it? Also, Elon's son allegedly asked him why the future doesn't look like the future, which is kind of cute. And honestly, I agree that cars and trucks can be pretty boring. And our strip mall suburban gas station jammed urban design does not look cool and futuristic. I'm all for interesting and unique designs and colors on the road. But what is cool and futuristic? Is it using the past's idea of the future, as the Cybertruck clearly did, using inspiration from the DeLorean and the Lotus Esprit 1977 car featured in The Spy Who Loved Me? The Cybertruck is a blend of nostalgia and retrofuturism, and the Cybertruck suffers from the same design flaws that hindered the popularity of the DeLorean, such as misaligned panels and stainless steel that showed off fingerprints and dirt, problems that were pointed out back in the 1980s. Maybe it's bad to take inspiration from a failed car. See, the problem with this forced nostalgia isn't necessarily that it's bad aesthetics to have a chunky, angular design, or that it's bad to try to make a different kind of truck that stands out from others on the road. It's that it restricts innovation. By being hemmed in by a very specific nostalgic aesthetic, there's no room to create a truly original design, one that could be both aesthetically original and interesting, and also solve old design problems rather than perpetuate them. It's a wish based on a forced idea of the future, based on nostalgia for the past. Elon wanted a truck that looks like what Blade Runner would have driven. You know, the character from the movie? Blade Runner was his name, and Running Blades was his game. Just like that one character Robert De Niro played, Taxi Driver, or the beloved Bruce Willis character, Officer Die Hard. Again, it's subjective as to whether or not you like the look of the design. But what's not subjective is that the Cybertruck very clearly does not match the design of our current society. Seeing a Cybertruck driving around a strip mall doesn't really give you the same cool aesthetic as seen in the movie Blade Runner, because those cars existed in an entire world that matched the design. It was a dreary dystopia. More accurately, the Cybertruck resembles the cool Time Cop car from Mr. Time Cop in the movie, Time Cop. That car looks fine when at the Time Cop headquarters or whatever, but when they shot scenes that weren't in dimly lit garages in daylight, the car looked kinda cheap and out of place. Here's a shot where it's clearly just driving on a modern road with regular cars and it looks downright silly.
On the other hand, there is a poll that shows you gaining with the pro-life, pro-death penalty coalition and with the Close Our Border America for Americans anti-immigration faction.
Boy, that film was too ahead of its time. See, there is actual real innovation that can happen that changes our aesthetics, like the iPod, which helped set a new paradigm, and now all of our phones are rectangles. You may not know this, but phones didn't used to be rectangles. Steve Jobs, for all his faults, at least had something interesting to say about design. Quote, "Most people make the mistake of thinking design is what it looks like. People think it's this veneer, that the designers are handed this box and told, make it look good. That's not what we think design is. It's not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." I don't think Jobs is saying that aesthetics don't matter, but that design should be well integrated with function. And if you're not a Steve Jobs fan, there are plenty of other product designers who had similar sentiments about aesthetics. Ray Eames, designer of the Eames chair, said, "What works good is better than what looks good, because what works good lasts." This isn't to say that things need to be purely functional without any consideration of form. It's that the best designs consider both things in a way where they flow together. In fact, there's an argument to be made that functionality is correlated with aesthetic beauty, because a lot of pleasant shapes are things that are found in nature, like teardrop shapes or kingfisher beaks. And since we're also animals, we probably like that kind of stuff. So beautiful shapes can also be highly functional, like how cool suspension bridges look, but also function in terms of distributing load. There's also something to be said about how things that last create a sense of style. We might start to appreciate the look of something because of positive associations with that object. This is the whole reason we love retro things. They remind us of our childhoods, of happy times. The aesthetic of pleasantness can come from the enjoyment of an object. Maybe you love the look of a classic Game Boy. Is that because it's inherently nice looking, or that you have a positive association with it? Maybe both. The point is, you can create entirely new, non-nostalgic aesthetic trends by creating something novel that functions well and that people form good memories with. Does the Cybertruck really do that? Maybe in 30 years, when we have nostalgia for it, when people can look back on that time when they lost their virginity and all their fingers in the back of a Cybertruck. A great example of how you can actually innovate, at least aesthetically, is ironically that knockoff Cybertruck that China is apparently making.
While inspired by the Tesla Cybertruck, certain detailed aspects set it apart. For instance, although it maintains the broad surfaces and sharp lines, subtler curves offer a distinct touch.
I don't know, maybe that car has all the same problems as a Cybertruck, but it certainly fits better into modern design while still looking like what Professor Blade Runner would drive. Or if you want a throwback that still feels fun and fresh, Hyundai just released a design for an electric throwback of their 80s grandeur, and it kind of fucks. Looking at it, you sort of realize how cool that old design was. It's still just nostalgia, but it's nostalgia for something way more unique than just doing the same Back to the Future DeLorean throwback we always get. Ultimately, what the Cybertruck represents is a symbol of innovation, in the same way that Elon Musk fashions himself as the new Nikola Tesla. He plays the role of the genius inventor without really being much of an inventor himself. He's at least a good salesman and a good brand builder, but he wants to be Tony Stark, actually inventing a futuristic Iron Man suit for Mr. Iron Man. The Cybertruck is ultimately a veneer. There may, in fact, be a lot of interesting engineering going on in the truck that gets lost in the lack of a clear design vision. The modular wiring system, while still having setbacks, is apparently an example of this. A lot of talented people worked on it, who were likely limited by the direction of give it angles and make it look like one of the Blade Runners from Dune. Perhaps one reason Elon's fans seem so dedicated to defending the Cybertruck is because they're committed to an idea of innovation and really want it to be true. Like the guy who posted about how raccoons ripped up the plastic lining to his truck cover, but because the raccoons didn't actually manage to pry open the truck and get in, the Cybertruck forum users proudly declare the Cybertruck, which attracted a bunch of raccoons, maybe because it looks like a dumpster, to be raccoon-proof. Or the guy who wrote on Twitter, demonstrating true Cybertruck work. This is a real truck. America flag emoji. Tesla stock. Surf ranch. And a video of him unloading some bags of animal feed, something you could easily fit into a Prius. Oh, cool! So it holds as much as a wheelbarrow. I don't want to be too mean. I think it's fine that these guys like their stupid trucks that are bad. It just seems like they're trying a little too hard to express to the world that they really like their trucks. It feels like people really want to be in a special club, like the hype over those Bored Ape JPEGs. If a JPEG could julienne your leg if you don't close it correctly. All your apes gone? No, all your legs gone. This poor guy wrote on the Cybertruck forum about how he closed his door and accidentally cut his leg open. Seems like the door should not be so sharp that you can accidentally cut your leg open, but the Cybertruck owner blamed himself, saying, "Be careful when closing your Cybertruck door. I parked on an incline, exited the truck, and as I was closing the door, I managed to clip the very corner of the door against my leg. When I got home, the wife said I needed to go get stitches, so I did. I'm clumsy, so this is 100% my fault, lol. I still love the truck." And geez, that just makes me feel really bad for the guy. It's not your fault, man. Car doors aren't supposed to be sharp enough to nearly expose your shin bone if you clip your leg. You're allowed to be a little clumsy while opening your door without needing stitches. And it's reasonable to expect better design from an expensive truck, one you spent at least $80,000 on, if not more. So, listen. I'm not saying people are necessarily stupid for having bought the truck expecting it to be cool. I think they should be angry, or at least frustrated, that after being promised an incredible future truck, they get sold something that doesn't seem to really consider basic safety or functionality issues. But the fact that they're defending the truck and blaming themselves makes it feel more like a cult than a healthy fan culture. That's one reason actual cults can successfully siphon money off of people. The lost money doesn't always weaken your loyalty. It can strengthen it because of the sunken cost fallacy. You have to double down, or else you have to admit you were taken for a ride. Maybe a ride accelerating beyond your control into a tree after struggling to find the right turn signal button, which is the top touchscreen button on the left side of the square wheel. It also certainly doesn't help that Elon Musk has made himself a deeply political figure, and in turn supporting him is now a political statement. I said earlier that he was a good salesman, but that actually doesn't seem true anymore. Companies don't tend to hinge themselves on one extremist ideology. They aim for the safest and most broad messaging possible, not weird freak Nazi shit, you know? But I don't know. It's all just kind of frustrating. As we've said on the show in the past, it's weird to be against futurism. I like futuristic stuff, and I'd love to see some actual innovation, and I think having electric trucks and cars is a good thing. But Elon's futurism is top-down, in that he wants an aesthetic result that reminds him of being 12 without thinking about the infrastructural or inner changes that requires, like an adult human trying to make a vehicle. He wants Star Trek, but not the part where money doesn't exist anymore. And what's even more frustrating to the Cybertruck specifically is that we do need to reinvent the modern truck, because right now, they suck. They're big, they're ugly, they have limited visibility, and they're dangerous to children and pedestrians. A truly innovative truck would actually run counter to the truck culture of today, which seems fixated on looking cool and tough versus safety, functionality, and energy efficiency. The Cybertruck, by being electric, does address fuel cost, but it doubles down on all those other problems. It's just perpetuating the same toxic truck culture we currently have, but for richer people. But what if you made an electric truck that had tons of visibility, fewer blind spots, and great carrying capacity? There's clearly a demand for disruptive trucks, like K-trucks, which have a tiny cabin, a large bed, and can cost just a few $1,000s. They aren't electric, and they aren't really built for driving at speeds higher than 25 miles per hour. They're just good at what they're designed to do: be inexpensive and carry lots of stuff around in a city. There's a growing fandom in the US, but the problem is they're an old design, originally for use on farms and slow speeds, so they're not up to safety standards on highways or freeways and have a lack of modern features like airbags. Consequently, they don't perform well in crash tests. But imagine if someone actually set about creating something new that addresses this backlash to truckflation, like an electric truck similar to the K-truck, but with modern safety features and the ability to drive at higher speeds. Again, I'm not a car maker person, so maybe there are issues with this idea that you car maker people can post in the comments to this video, or just people who know about cars in the comments. The more you argue with me, my pretties, the more I profit. Wahaha. The point is, someone much smarter than me could come up with a really cool new truck design that actually addresses the issues plaguing modern trucks. It just doesn't seem like Elon Musk is that guy, despite how desperately he wants to be. He has no clear design values, no clear-cut convictions other than wanting to be perceived as smart and futuristic. So he just tells his engineers, make it look cool with angles, and we get something like this. Oh, it's disruptive, all right. Disrupting my bones and ligaments? Ha! Zing! Gotcha! But seriously, the frunk hungers? Feed the frunk! Okay, get out of here, you crazy kids! I'm gonna do some really weird shit with these toy cars. Oh, yeah! Oh, my drink! Hey everybody, they're sleeping. They had a really good time. So thanks for liking and subscribing if you did that. And if you didn't, could you do that please? And thank you after you do it. Please like and subscribe. We've got a podcast called Even More News that you can listen to. We've also got that on this channel if you want to watch it. We've got this show, Some More News, as a podcast if you prefer listening to it. We've got merch from a merch store. It's over here. Or click the link. Stuff is on other stuff. Have you ever seen stuff on other stuff? It is available. What else? Beep beep, honk honk, car stuff. That's not very good. Like and subscribe.